Hello, welcome back to Hoopsa. The Championship is back after a 2-week international break, and so is QPR ruining our Saturdays. Now, Norwich City haven't had the best season. They were going into this match with 3 wins from 12 after an unbeaten August. In fact, their 3-2 win away at Cardiff City was their first win in 7 just before the international break. Now, a lot of Canaries fans are very much David Wagner out and hoping that new sporting director Ben Napper, who joins from Arsenal, will opt to bring in his own manager. And it seems that a 1-0 home win yesterday against one of the worst sides in English football over the past 12 months has done very little to change the opinion of the Norwich City fans. Of course, a number of Ars players were in action over the international break, although only Sinclair Armstrong and Ryan Colley were able to find the net. Sinclair Armstrong got a goal for Republic of Ireland under 21s against Norway, as well as a goal and assist against Italy, while Ryan Colley meanwhile bagged for Algeria under 20s against Tunisia. Now, despite not yet finding a win, there have been some positive signs from Marty's 2 draws so far. This is a team that is attempting to play some kind of football again and actually trying to score. And the sticking point for most of us, especially at Bristol at home just before the break, was that we do lack any real threat on goal, with Lyndon Dykes in particular dropping a particularly poor performance. Now, some argue that we don't service him properly, and that's evident in his performances for Scotland, but he did very little to inspire on the international break, with no involvement in any of Scotland's 5 goals scored, and he was actually subbed off in the second game. I was personally hoping that we would drop Dykes for this game, especially with Armstrong picking up a couple of goals. I know it's only for the under-20s, but you'd hope he'd be able to bring some of that confidence into this match. But no, we stuck with Dykes up top. In fact, Marty made just 2 changes to the side that played against Bristol, with Chair returning to the side after his ban for 5 yellows, replacing Paul Smith, who himself is now banned for 5 yellows. Elijah Dixon-Bonner came in for Dazelle, which I was quite pleased to see. I thought he played pretty well against Rotherham, and I was happy to see him get another start. Now, the omission that I was disappointed in was no Reggie Cannon, especially strange given it suggested he was in contention to play earlier in the week, and he wasn't even in the squad. Clearly that injury is worse than they're letting on. And it's a shame really, because I'd felt that the team that played against Bristol, plus the additions of Chair, Cannon and a change up top, could have given us a real chance in this game. So it was already a bit of a disappointing setup going into the match. And unfortunately, the story of this match is very similar to the last couple. QPR dominated possession in the opening 15 minutes, but there really was just no end product there. One of the most noticeable tactical decisions from Cifuentes was his use of inverted fullbacks, with Powell and Kakai joining the midfield when in possession, allowing Chair and Willock to push much wider. And don't get me wrong, there were some nice passing spells, but save for a predictable shot from Chair which was easily caught by the keeper, none of this possession turned into goal-scoring chances. I've also got to say that this pushing wide of our players also left Chair in particular very isolated on that left wing. And despite having less of the ball, unlike QPR, Norwich did threaten when they did have it. Steve Cook had to clear the ball off the line from Jack Stacey's looping effort, which had gone over the head of Begovic, and it was another aerial ball on the 21st minute that would truly punish us. Gabriel Sara played a perfect ball over the top from his own half that left the QPR defence in no man's land and picked out Hwang, who controlled the ball and put it past Begovic into the far corner. Now, it's a great ball, but Hwang should never be unchallenged going into that. Just look at how out of position Dunn is on this, and that's just after the ball was played as well. There is no excuse to not be tight to your man at that point. He's been really poor this season. He's constantly done by balls like this, and he will continue to be the longer he stays in this side. Now, you can say that that goal came against the run of play, but the difference is Norwich made the most of the ball when they had it. We didn't. And the rest of the match continued in a similar fashion, to be honest. QPR had a lot of the ball, 68% possession, but the efforts were few, and the ones that we did have weren't very good. In the remainder of the first half, Dykes headed wide from a corner, and Kakai, who was often playing very advanced up the pitch, had what I think was a shot saved by the keeper. In the second half, Powell had a very optimistic shot from the left-hand side saved, and Chair, who I know frustrated a lot of people yesterday, tried another long-range effort, but in general there was just very little goal-scoring quality here. The introductions of Kelman, Armstrong and Dazelle later in the match did very little to change that. Our efforts were perhaps best summed up in stoppage time, when a lovely back heel from Chair on the edge of the box, with his back to the goal, found Jimmy Dunn unattended inside the Norwich box and ready to redeem himself. He cut the ball back on a play into the centre of the box for anyone willing to hit it, and Sam Field absolutely fluffed it and sliced it wide, missing a very late chance to equalise. And that just about sums up this team for me. Without a clear-cut striker, it really is on the midfielders to be popping up with a goal or two, and they can't because they're not good enough. And if they were good enough, they wouldn't be playing for QPR. Norwich themselves did very little to increase their lead, and that makes this a harder result to take. This is a side that haven't won back-to-back games since August, and they'd lost 3 consecutive home games before this. The Norwich City fans, and seemingly the players, are very ready for David Wagner to go, and as Jack Reeves said in my match preview for this, had QPR taken the lead, the side probably would have crumbled and the fans would have got on their back. But once again, all it takes is one lapse in concentration from our defence, barely a quarter into the match, for the opposition team to take the 3 points from us. I'd felt pretty optimistic going into this match, but this is a harsh reminder that this side just isn't good enough. Now there's no denying the impact that Marty has had. In just a few weeks we're starting to dominate possession, but he said himself that all of that possession doesn't mean anything unless you're able to score. His 2 points from 3 matches, alarmingly, is more than Ainsworth had taken in his previous 6. And I have no doubt that Marty's going to be able to produce some good attacking football, but he's not a magician and these players just aren't good enough. For me now, the objective is to keep that gap between us and safety as small as possible until January. Already proving to be hard with Huddersfield extending the gap to 6 points with a draw at home to Southampton. But we have to try and keep that gap as small as possible and hope that this spate of sponsorships that we've had over the last month is going to enable some funds to bring some players in January to try and sort this mess out. It's reminding me of the 2021 season when we had to bring in Johansson, Austin, Field and Device to sort our season out, and actually went on a very good run after January. But the difference is, I'd be surprised if we have anywhere near those kind of funds to help us sort this mess out, and we weren't as in danger then as we are now. At the very least, we need to bring in a striker because Lyndon Dykes and Sinclair Armstrong are not going to cut the mustard for us. We need experience and we need someone who knows where the net is. On to Stoke City now at home on Tuesday, which I'll be previewing tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any thoughts yourself, let me know in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe and I'll see you soon. Cheers.